chemtrails that do not dissipate. They actually spread out and block our sun is the stated goal of geoengineers. We now have an issue called global dimming. The Earth is now receiving 20% less sun than it did just a couple of decades ago. And again, that's a stated consequence of geoengineering. So that's what we're finding in the rain, which is very toxic to both human health and ecology. But there are a bunch of consequences, obviously, with this. We covered some of them in the first film. And what we're seeing in terms of these consequences that geoengineers are very open about, they're all coming to fruition. So hopefully we'll get into that during the interviews today.
You know, that's the funny thing. The media makes fun of people, and we've done FOIA requests, or others have, and we've seen, you know, the threat fusion centers. We've seen the threat fusion centers sit there and make jokes about people that think planes are spraying, but then it's all going on. I mean, this is a government that's killed our military, killed foster children, and spraying test and radiation test, and then now they admit giant programs that are classified, and then we're supposed to just sit here and let them do this, and clearly the aluminum's going up in the soil, but Monsanto's got the aluminum-resistant crops they can make money off of. Clearly, aluminum is increasing neurological disorders. That's only one small part of the program. They can weather weapon us and then say, oh, look, it's global warming. Pay Lord Rothschild trillions and he'll fix everything. We'll be back.
Digestive health is the key.
Murphy is our guest filmmaker. Why in the world are they spraying? First film, what in the world are they spraying? They're both important questions. What are they spraying? Other question. Why are they spraying? And there's the weather weaponization factor. We know our weather is the most manipulated in the world. More money, more ground antennas, more aircraft, massive program, HARP's involved, and that's all in the patents. It's all in the admissions, the billions a year spent. But if you criticize it, they just laugh at you and say it doesn't exist, even as they have public forums bragging about what they're doing to us. And that's why Michael Murphy, who was on a hotel line, he's on a cell, it's a little bit better, joins us from Sacramento, California, up from Los Angeles, because they're there handing out copies of Why in the World Are They Spraying to the entire legislature, which is an effective thing to do. You're putting them on notice that the feds, under the Department of Energy and others, are doing this. They also have got patents for 50 years or more, standardizing, having it added to the jet fuel, dispersed through the engines. They have other direct spray. But dealing with weather modification, Michael, you know, a big part of it that's admitted is the ground-based antenna arrays that are interacting with what's being sprayed. So let's get into it right now. Why are they spraying?
There are a number of agendas associated with these programs. Weather control appears to be the number one agenda. And since we released the first film, many people were asking that question. So I met up with meteorologist, former 20-year weatherman Scott Stevens, who's been researching this. And what we noticed ahead of storm fronts, whether it's 500, 700 miles, 24 to 72 hours ahead of these storms, very intense spraying. You get these thick canopies. Those are the days when you have burning eyes, irritability, dry mouth, you know, a lot of the symptoms. Anyways, what we learned, and you had mentioned something, we interviewed Dr. Nick Begich, who is the leading HARP expert. Through the use of aluminum, of course, geoengineers are stating that aluminum is reflective, it's very light, and it will reflect sun away from Earth. Now, what we found, that is true, and it will cool the planet temporarily, regionally. Now studies have come in, university studies, NASA studies, not that I totally trust NASA, but they indicate that putting aerosols, yes, will cool the planet, again, regionally, but they will create an overall warming of the planet because at night, they act as a blanket and they trap heat. We've seen a great increase in nighttime highs in the past 10 to 15 years when these programs have been really ramped up. What we found out about aluminum, it's a very effective conductor in our sky. So when they build this canopy of aluminum through, again, the use of HARP and other technology, they can actually heat the atmosphere, real similar to putting something in your microwave. The molecules will vibrate, they'll heat. And when an atmosphere heats, it actually raises, and it creates a low-pressure vacuum, and it enables certain corporations to steer the storms into certain regions, or the case of this summer, especially here in the U.S., out of certain regions. Now, the science is very basic as well. What we learned, and I went back into the geoengineering tape, spent several hours listening to them, we learned that one of the consequences is disrupted weather patterns. Drought is a consequence of geoengineering. A couple of reasons. When they spray these aerosols into our sky, and if you look off of the coast, this summer we have a complete aerosol coverage every day, all the way from the equator up to the North Pole. Why are they doing this? Well,
and by the way, as you know, they even have the NASA photos showing, and not even regular plane routes, the lines off the coast. Every time there's a system to block it, they admit now the Earth was 20%, now it's 30% darker. And they say, oh, the jet trails are doing it, but they don't add that stuff's being added. So they're blocking the jet stream and all that water and the lower atmosphere trade winds bringing water into the U.S. We are under attack.
You got it. And those aerosols are preventing the sun, in the case of this summer, from hitting the ocean, which is preventing the normal evaporation, the water that does evaporate. And geoengineers are open about this. The particles act as what's called cloud condensation nuclei. So instead of the water evaporating, combining with other water molecules, and eventually condensing and falling as rain, they condense on this aluminum, barium, other particulates that they're spraying.
All right, stay there. Your phone's really bad, so I'm going to come back. We're going to find out when you can do video Skype next week, because I want to get you on, maybe even for an hour and a half. But this is just too important a subject to hammer like this. And we'll just go to phone calls and cover news.
We're on the...
Friends, Michael Murphy's new film, Why in the World Are They Spraying? A compliment to the original film, What in the World Are They Spraying? Is a very important documentary, because we are seeing weather patterns that are abnormal. The very groups doing the spraying are the ones saying they want to take over our society because of worsening weather patterns, and if we would just pay them for carbon dioxide, they would make everything okay. We're being held hostage. They're playing God. This is how out of control the national security state has gotten. And our guest has gone to the different forums and events with the globalists where they're publicly bragging their engineering. We know they are. His phone is just bad, and I don't like doing interviews on crackly cell phones. Does not translate well to our AM and FM affiliates. We don't even like regular phone lines now. We try to do audio Skype or video Skype or other systems, ISDN lines, you name it. Most radio shows just have hammered audio. We try to give you high-quality guests. So we're going to finish up with 5 minutes with our guest and have him back up next week or maybe later this week for a full hour as soon as he can get to a good place with good internet. And we'll go to all the callers. I got a bunch of news here. Now, Hillary ordered Bin Laden killed. I mean, they've changed this story so many times. It's a joke. We're going to be getting into that. A lot of breaking news right now and your phone calls. I briefly wanted to plug a couple things here. We have launched, InfoWarsTeam.com is a great website, but it's also got the distributor angle. You can sign up there and get discounts on all the longevity products, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Polymers Plus, the key proprietary blend of essential fatty acids, all of it there at InfoWarsTeam.com. But we designed a site with the longevity folks and MZ's people who also design InfoWars Team that I think is even better. And it's more around the great products themselves. You can also sign up there and be a distributor. It's $10 and then get discounts. And there's a phone number there if you have any questions. On the whole line, the whole giant catalog, everything offered by longevity at discounts right now at a new website, InfoWarsHealth.com. We'll get a link at InfoWarsTeam.com to InfoWarsHealth.com. Again, that's InfoWarsHealth.com. Is available for everybody online now, and the whole product catalog is right there for you, but also join the InfoWars team. Reorder, you can get discounts and get free shipping when you do the auto ship, and a lot of different discounts that we offer at InfoWarsTeam.com, but also InfoWarsHealth.com. Going back to Michael Murphy. Michael, look, let's just hit this key point now. We're seeing all sorts of weird weather patterns. You've got weather meteorologists in your films breaking down. This is weather manipulation. They're spraying something. We know this is going on. The antennas on the ground, the stuff in the air, And then, as you said, you go to these events and it shows them bragging what they're doing, and then the water's not coming into the coast, and they're shutting off water at Klamath Falls that is available, and they're paying to move General Motors overseas, and they want carbon taxes on us that won't be on China and India and Mexico. I mean, the clear policy is destroy America. What is the goal there? I mean, in 5 minutes, break down the keys that you cover in this new film.
A couple of things. And geoengineers have denied that these programs have been started, but I've spoken to many scientists. Geoengineering can be used to control and corporatize our weather. First time I heard about that, I said, why would somebody want to control our weather? And it was explained to me. Militaries have been interested for several years about controlling our weather. It gives them a battlefield advantage. There was actually an Edmond Treaty back in the 70s prohibiting the military from using this against other countries in wartime. There is an exemption allowed. Countries can use this technology above their own soil, and because weather can be manipulated from thousands of miles away, it's a very effective tool to be used. So that exemption allows them to use this. What we found in the film was totally shocking. We found a monetary interest as well as a GMO seed interest, which you explained. The monetary interest, weather is being traded at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. So we went to Chicago, interviewed a trader, and what we found was shocking. Corporations, individuals are essentially betting on the weather. They're betting that there will be droughts or excess moisture in certain seasons. And through the use of these derivatives, they can literally make billions of dollars through predicting weather. So a lot of people think our weather is not predictable, essentially in a long-term investment, and that is the furthest thing from the truth. Not everybody who's involved in these derivatives are in the know, but certain individuals are that are linked into the multinational corporations. And if you have the playbook, you cannot lose. Every commodity is driven by the predictability of weather. Those who invested in corn this year are literally making billions and billions of dollars at the expense of every living thing on the planet. Food prices are going to go up over 30%. Here.
And more importantly, it's allowing them, after betting and knowing where it would go, to consolidate and buy everything up and use food as a weapon. That's what these guys are doing.
Well, that is the main goal of this, and it goes deeper. So money is just an avenue to get what they want. What these programs enable them to do, because they control where water goes, where it doesn't, it's a very effective tool for Agenda 21. In the case of this summer, which we amazingly spoke about the film, drought, again, is what geoengineers say is a consequence of their programs. Corporations make a ton of money about drought, but what we found was this seed by Monsanto, and it addresses abiotic stress. What is abiotic stress? It's everything that geoengineering creates. It's the drought conditions. It's heavy metal contamination. These particles fall into our soil and essentially sterilize our soil. We have ecosystems now around the world collapsing. The farmers that we interviewed in the film have seen between a 60 and 70% decline in their ability to grow natural organic food. Things are dying. So that forces farmers, when they start losing their crops, to do two things. They can sell it, and there's a company now owned by George Soros. He's buying up the farmland at pennies on the dollar. Very effective tool for meeting Agenda 21 objectives. And the other area that they can go is into these new abiotic stress resistant genetically modified seeds, which have been designed by Monsanto. This is a corporate takeover of natural systems. Monsanto, through the Obama administration, expressed their interest in going into Africa. Amazingly enough, geoengineers state, if we start our programs, which obviously they have, we will get droughts in Africa and Asia. But we have a solution, they're stating, Monsanto, and they've expressed their interest in completely corporatizing that. And I'm going through, the entire film